Hey there, everyone. My name is Ryan Schul. Welcome to my channel. The camera is not working today, so I can't turn it on. I don't know what's going on with that thing, but I'll look into it. Anyways, it doesn't prevent me from getting the message out. In today's project, I want to talk about how to build a self-improving AI agent to trade stocks. Okay, we're going to use Python as always, and this is actually called reinforcement learning, and you can set up rewards and then punishments for this trading agent, any kind of AI agent. You can set up rewards and punishments and tell the agent, okay, I need you to trade better and create a trading pattern for me, or show me how I should do my trading, all right? And 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 I want to make money over time, and I want the trading to get more efficient. And basically, I want the tool to improve by learning from the reward system that's fed into it. And if it makes a mistake, it gets punished, and it knows, okay, this is not how we do this. I made a mistake. I'm not going to repeat my mistake. So this is exactly how computers were trained to learn that game Go. I think it's called Go. I've never honestly played that. But it's the same technique between the same technique for training a computer how to learn to play chess, right? So I play chess a lot, and I like it. And I had to learn over time, so the computer has to learn the same way, right? You get a reward if you're winning, if you're improving and making better chess moves, and the punishment is you lose the chess match if you don't set up your chess pieces strategically enough, right? So why would we do this for a trading algorithm? Basically, markets change over time. Nothing is stationary, right? It's completely not stationary. And traditional markets rely on fixed assumptions that can be static and stationary. I mean, the model or the assumption, we want something that's very dynamic and very interactive and gets better over time. Okay, so that's why we're using a reinforcement learning agent in this exercise. Markets can evolve due to new regulations, shifting technologies, macro events, shocks in the system. Right, there can be emotion built into a trade, right, where people fall in love with the stock. I will tell you personally, do not fall in love with the stock, because the stock will not love you back. No matter how much you love it, the stock has no emotion for you whatsoever. So don't do that, right? But it's hard. It's hard to remove your emotions when you're making trades, because there's a lot of money involved here, right? So it is hard to get away from that. But these types of AI agents have no emotion, right? So you're not caught up in that mess. So it's going to be self-improving over time. It's going to get better and better. We can do back testing and live learning. I didn't really get into that because I think this project would drag on. Maybe I could do another project related to that. But that's a pretty interesting topic. I think this can be scalable, and we can include multiple assets as well. Maybe that will be another video. This video is just going to include one and the S&P 500 for comparison. You always want some type of baseline to see how well your trading is compared to some type of standard, some type of baseline. The S&P 500 is excellent for that, right? If you make 2% return on your investment and the S&P is at 12%, if it's up 12%, your investment kind of sucks, right? If you make 2% return and the S&P is down 30%, your investment is fantastic, right? So you really need some kind of benchmark to measure against, because 2% or 10% is meaningless, right? Unless you gauge it with some type of benchmark. So we're going to use the S&P 500 for that. And this is just going to help us understand how to make overall better, more intelligent, smarter investments. So I'm going to go ahead and import the data here. I'm going to look at INTC. I think this is Intel. I don't even know. Let me see. What is this thing? INTC. I know it's down quite a bit for the year. Finance. And we'll look at a few different stocks. You can very easily trade, change, not trade. You can easily change, yeah, Intel, that's what I thought. You can easily change the stock that you are looking at, and you can easily change the time frame that you're analyzing too, right? So in this case, we're going back in time 12 months. We're getting 12 months of historical time series data. That's my start date. So back in time 12 months from today. And you can change this to be whatever you want. This can be 1 or 2 months. This could be a couple of years. 6 months is fine. I think for our purposes today, and just to illustrate how this works, I think 12 is good. So I've got my returns here. Okay, I'm going to scroll down to my next cell. So this is pretty important right here. We have to define the agent and then the state for these trades. So the state can be a price trend up or down, holding status 0 or no stock. Okay, so 1 is holding, 0 is no stock. And here's the action over here. So 0 is hold. Sorry, I just misspeak. 0 is hold, 1 is buy, and 2 is sell. So this is how we're going to tell the agent, because it doesn't know what hold or buy or sell is, right? You have to assign some type of numeric representation to the action, and then the agent can learn from that. If you tell it to buy or hold or sell, it has no idea what that is, right? So we're assigning actions over here. We're going to start with 0. So this agent actually learns very much like a human being. When you start trading, you basically don't know anything, okay? Let's be honest. When you do it for the first time, you don't know anything, and this AI agent doesn't know anything either. So we'll start at 0, but you should, if you're an effective trader and if you're successful, you should get better with time, and you will have some type of accumulated knowledge, what works, what doesn't work, or what probably works or probably doesn't work, right? But you always start basically at 0. So the agent will start at 0 too. Hopefully you make more and more intelligent decisions over time, and hopefully this agent does as well. Okay, so that is the setup here, and we're using this Q table um, to hold all our data here. Okay, so let me hit Control Enter to refresh this cell, and then we get down to the learning and the trading loop. So we have alpha, gamma, epsilon episodes, and the initial cash is going to be 10,000. These are Greek, so you don't have to worry about this too much. Just alpha is how much the stock is up relative to, I'm sorry, no, alpha. Yeah, alpha. I got confused for a sec. Alpha, you want this to be positive, right? You want positive alpha stock. That means that you're making more money, and you'll probably lose a little bit along the way. That's almost inevitable. Nobody just makes money all the time, but you want positive alpha, right? You want like a positive outcome with your portfolio. Again, starting with 10,000 initial investment. Let me go ahead and run this. Okay, and then we have some basic logic over here. We're looping through all the returns. Remember, the returns came from over here. These are the stock returns. So we're training the agent on the actual ups and downs and movements of this Intel stock price. So that's pretty straightforward. Probably the most interesting thing is down here. If action equals 1 and shares equals 0, then we're buying the stock, okay? And we're assigning or using cash to make the purchase for those shares, right? If action equals 2 and shares greater than 0, sell. So remember, these actions came from over here. So we have 0 is hold, 1 is buy, and 2 is sell. So that's what we assign those um, pieces of logic, and we're using that. So if we have a 1, we're buying. If the action is 2, sell, and then the other side is just hold, right? So if nothing warrants a buy or sell, the agent is just holding on to the shares that it has. It's not taking any action, because if it looks like the stock is going down, it's going to do a sell. If it looks like the stock is going up, then it's going to do a buy, right? But there's another option too. Just hold. If you're not sure what the heck is going to happen, just hold your position and just do nothing. That's fine too. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this cell. Okay. Now we start to generate the actual transactions. Oh, this is all hidden. I'll show you in just a moment how you can see all the trades, but this is all hidden away as the agent just does the transactions, and we actually converted 10,000 into $7,118. So we lost almost 3,000. And there's really nothing that we could do about that. If we go back in time, you'll see that the stock was just down from 1 year ago. So it's down 44%. We lost about 30% of the portfolio. So even though the stock is down, we basically lost $3,000. Because the agent was smart enough, it actually did better than just the buy and hold strategy. Because here we're down 44%. Let me pick a stock that is probably up, AAPL. Let's see if this guy was up for the past year. We can look at this. 1 year. Okay, so this was up about 17%. You can see when you put the mouse over it, the bubble is up 17%. So that's okay return, not huge. Okay, though. But let's come back to that in a minute. Let's look at all the trades. This is for Intel here, so Control Enter. So these are all the individual details of all the trades it's buying and selling. And it bought 54 shares at 118.32, sold 54 at 177. The stock looks like it's going down, so it's getting rid of these shares. It's unloading that. 53, it bought shares at 179. It looks like it's going up. I think the agent is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And it's selling 53 shares at 179.62. I guess the agent thought there would be a drop, but it's up just a couple of pennies. That's fine. That's fine. Go down here, and I have some more notes over here. I can let you guys read out that take you through everything. Again, this is reinforcement learning, and they don't start out smart, right? So it's learning everything just like a human being does. That's why we have to start with zero, because we have basically, where's my zero here? I don't see that. Where is it? I don't even see that, but like so it's somewhere in the logic. I did set the learning rate to zero because initially that you don't know what's going on, right? The agent has to learn what's right and what's wrong, and then make decisions about whether to buy or sell, just like a human would do. So at the beginning, it can make some mistakes. It can trip up. Hopefully, towards the end, it's making very few mistakes and mostly intelligent trading decisions. But at the beginning, it's always going to be a learning process, and there's nothing we can do about that, right? So it is what it is, and this is pretty normal and pretty realistic, right? For the agent to lose if it hasn't had enough time to self improve. So it does take a little time for the agent to get going and to understand what's going on in this environment. But over time, it should be more efficient, self improving, and making better and better, more intelligent trades over time. Okay, so I have some things listed in my notes down there. And in the end, stock prices aren't totally random, but in the short term, they are very random, right? But in the long term, they're much more predictable. Now, how predictable? It really depends. It's not completely predictable, but in a longer time continuum, the price will be much more predictable than within a couple of days, right? It's just too short. It's just too short time span. So here's the historical S&P 500 plotted on this chart, and then I compare the two at the end. So we have Intel versus S&P 500. Remember, I always told you you need some type of baseline to compare this to. So if you just saw Intel all by itself, yeah, it looks pretty ugly. It doesn't look like a great play over here. That's pretty obvious. But let's look at Apple. So this is a totally different example. It looks like Apple was up about 17%, if I saw that right. So if we go to Apple AAPL, control enter. Okay, so we have our returns. I'm going to fire up the agent here. Okay, defining strategies. Okay, here's the training. And we evaluate all our policies right here. Now we started with 10,000, right? So 10K. Now in this case, we're at 4,000. So we made 4 grand, a little bit more, almost 4,600. Okay, so this stock obviously was better. And here's all the exact trades that the agent did. Okay, so we have that. Let's go down and get the S&P 500. I already plotted that. I don't have to redo that. But I want to look at these two side by side. All right, so I have my baseline and I have my actual Apple. And, oh, because I didn't refresh this thing. I have Intel and Apple mixed together. Okay, that should be a little bit better. Let me see. And it's complaining data closed. None of the indexes are in the column. That sounds weird. Let me rerun the whole thing. Okay, run all above selected cell. Okay, get this thing to work. Close should definitely be in the column. They just did that. Control enter. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Wackadoodle, wackadoodle, guys. Okay, so you can see here, S&P 500 and Apple. There's a big dip. This is when the trade tariffs were announced. This was about 2 weeks ago, right? So it impacted the S&P. It impacted Apple. They have both since bounced back a little bit. But I like this comparison because you can see Apple was up pretty strong over most of the last year. They kind of like coincided a little bit during the trade tariff announcements. right? But Apple is still a better investment than the broader index. And you can see the total return here was about 4 grand, 4.5 thousand. Okay, so that was good. Let's look at one more. Maybe Amazon. Let's see what Amazon is doing. AMZN, AMZN. And let me go down here to the bottom and refresh everything. And we'll compare Amazon with our AI self-learning, self-improving agent to the S&P, run all above. Okay. So let's see what this thing spits out here. Okay, okay. And we have our final results. And okay, so Amazon and the S&P were kind of neck and neck for a little while. The Amazon stock basically got beat by the S&P, I would say. How much money did we make on this thing? The agent made 500 bucks. Okay, so not a whole lot. A couple of dollars. You have a little walking around money for the weekend, but not a huge return. But that's it. That's it, guys. How to build a self-improving AI agent to trade stocks, and you have all the details of all the trades revealed to you right here. Okay, so I think that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool stuff. Okay, and the last thing I'll say is this is not investment advice. So if you want to use this to make money, that's totally fine. Don't get angry at me. Don't try to sue me. If you lose, I don't even have a job right now. I lost my job about 18 months ago. That's why I moved over to YouTube. I'm doing YouTube videos, so I have no money. And this is not trading advice in the market. It's a volatile place. Okay, you can make money, you can lose money. All I'm doing here is demonstrating the math and the statistics behind AI agents and how to use them to do trades. That's all it is. Okay, it's not investment advice. So there you have it. Hopefully this was informative and a good use of everybody's time. I learned a couple new things when I was putting together the script, so I'm grateful for that. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.